Accepting a relationship is over is not always easy, but it is wise. First love ends in tragedy.
You don't want me anymore? Well, no one's gonna get you. Bang.
A broken promise ends with a bullet.
He took everything from her, and for that, he had to pay.
And a mom plays with her boy toy.
You're a man.
She'd mentally tortured him and got this narcissist stranglehold on him.
For these deadly women, breaking up is hard to do. They're ditched and desperate. In 2014 in Loxahatchee, Florida, online battlefields bring 19-year-old James Berry and 18-year-old Melanie Eam together.
Melanie and James bonded and fell in love over computer games.
Should I move in now?
No, let your minions take the damage.
It was a young love, but I think it was like a pure love.
Yes!
It was a committed relationship.
James was described by everyone that knew him as a super nice guy.
The young lovers are equally crazy about gaming.
It's kind of a role-playing game. He and Melanie would spend hours playing this game.
The only thing James likes more
What?
is his BFF, Jeff,
Back to the fountain, Hellraiser.
who also lives with James's family.
Jeff and James were best friends, and Melanie was his first girlfriend.
Bang, you're dead. Ugh, every time.
James played in his bedroom with Jeff, and if Melanie was playing, all three played together.
You always win.
James is the perfect team player.
Had to. It's study time.
Not just fast on the keyboard, he also helps Melanie focus on her studies.
Study time. Right, I get it. What? I'll see you tomorrow.
Melanie needed a job, he helped her find a job. Melanie needed to graduate high school, he helped her get a GED. So here's a kid who just wanted to help people.
Melanie is welcomed into the family by James's mom and stepfather.
Hey, I'm starving.
Turbina left.
Hands off.
Melanie, hi.
Are you staying for dinner?
If that's not too much trouble.
Of course not.
Melanie spent much of her time at James's house.
Can I help?
She was the kind of girl that you would want your son to have as a girlfriend. They loved her like a daughter.
How would you feel if Melanie stayed for breakfast?
That's fine.
Thanks.
She spent time at his house, overnight stays. It was part of their relationship. It was approved by the parents.
But with everyone under the same roof, there's pressure on James to choose between his girlfriend and his best friend.
What are you doing?
I don't like being left alone.
Melanie couldn't stand James's best friend, Jeff. In fact,
Seriously?
she couldn't stand really any friend that he had.
She had a big problem.
Mel, I think she's a bit crazy. I know she can be, but no, dude, she's dark. Like, real dark. I don't want to be around her. I love her.
It is a bad sign when your friends don't want to be around your girlfriend. That's a red flag for anybody. What is it about her that they don't like? They're getting a bad vibe from this girl. Why? Jeff has this huge fish tank with some very expensive fish in it. What does she do? She pours bleach into the water of the fish tank, murdering $3,000 worth of fish.
It screamed of future problems. The message is, look what I can do, and you might be next.
No. No. No! How could this happen?
She wanted to be the only person in his life. And when I say only, I mean only.
And it works. Jeff gets a message,
She did this.
and he hightails it out of there.
James, can we just talk, please?
Jeff may have moved out,
I just don't understand how you could do that.
I'm sorry.
but if Melanie thinks she has James to herself, she's in for a shock.
Come on. Mel, take your bag. Take the bag. Mel, take it.
If you leave me, I don't know what I'll do to myself.
Mel, come on. Take the bag.
I'll leave town.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Melanie had a big investment being seen as
Come on, come on.
a tiny, harmless, sweet woman. But inside was a colossal demon.
2016 in Loxahatchee, Florida. Young love isn't running smoothly for 20-year-old Melanie Eam and her boyfriend, James Berry. Both are lonely and miserable after their breakup.
A couple months go by and James is feeling, well, he's feeling lonely. So he calls her up and then he ultimately says, hey, why don't you come back?
I can't wait to see you.
Let's see if we can work this out.
James was so nice, and he seemed to look at her through rose-colored glasses.
Melanie is welcomed back into the family circle.
It's good to have you back.
I missed your food. Yeah.
Thank you.
She is good.
Yeah.
It's as if nothing has changed.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good night.
Good night.
And unfortunately for Melanie, nothing has. The night of November 17th, 2016, Jeff wants to come over.
Who was that?
Jeff's coming over. You don't have to see him.
So you want me to go?
Please don't start.
Melanie could not tolerate being rejected.
The friends play computer games into the night
I know.
What about the gym?
until they have a virtual visitor.
Look who just joined us. Hellraiser.
Her choice of username was Hellraiser, and her avatar was a female devil holding her own bleeding heart out of her chest. That was the real Melanie.
I'm gonna take that as my cue for a power nap.
The virtual gate crashing is too much for James. It was a mistake to invite Melanie back. So he ends it once and for all.
James broke up very gently with Melanie via computer chat. That's not so unusual, especially for young people.
And it was very sweet, it was very sincere. He was just explaining, we've tried, and we can't do it.
It's over with Melanie. Good choice.
But it's not over as far as Melanie's concerned.
So just after midnight, Melanie comes to the door.
What are you doing here?
You said we could talk.
Now?
Yeah.
James lets her in.
Mel, please, let's talk tomorrow.
They're in the kitchen, and they're talking.
Do you love me?
Honestly, no.
She becomes enraged, opens the drawer, pulls out a 13-inch kitchen knife.
Mel, come on.
It's almost like she was inside that online game, and she was one of those characters, and she was destroying this man.
Melanie slashes 6 superficial wounds as James tries to protect himself.
Melanie had 6 times to say to herself, no, I'm not going to do this. This is wrong. She didn't. She was working up the courage to plunge the knife in his chest.
This man she claimed to love so much, she stuck a knife into his heart. You don't want me anymore, James? Well, you know what? No one's gonna get you. Bang. Melanie takes off after this savage attack. James rushes down the hall as fast as he can.
James?
He drops to the floor. The knife falls out of his chest.
Help! Help!
If he doesn't get help soon, he's dead.
James! Call 911. Get him on the bed.
My son is being stabbed.
James's stepfather tries CPR.
The first time he tries to blow into James's mouth, the breath comes out through his chest. It was just horrific, and James died on the scene.
He's not breathing.
There's no mystery to this tragedy. All thoughts turn to James's girlfriend, the fish tank, the separation, and the chat room breakup.
We wanted you to come down to the station.
No.
Well, will you talk to us here?
Melanie has some explaining to do.
Did you stab him?
Yes.
Melanie told the detective she was upset because James didn't love her.
I was really angry that he ended our relationship. On social media.
Her fury came from not being told personally.
As if that justified killing him.
In 2019, Melanie Eam is convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison.
On first glance, you would never think that she would be capable of much more than a traffic ticket. much less a heinous murder.
James never saw the danger he was in. Melanie was pretty, but she was pretty poison. She lost everything.
I'm not discussing it.
It was revenge. I want you dead forever.
In Salt Lake City, Utah, in 1911, the man about town is Ross Bonney.
Ross Bonney was a well-known guy in Salt Lake.
Welcome to the Raleigh.
Wow, hello.
A really charming guy and had a successful career.
The 31-year-old lawyer and hotel entrepreneur has help.
Our housekeeper will show you to your room.
33-year-old Amy Hill.
He would introduce people to her as the housekeeper.
Here, let me.
Oh, no, no, you shouldn't.
Don't worry, it's part of the job.
Thank you.
All of his neighbors thought of her as like a live-in servant.
Behind closed doors,
Don't stop there.
Amy is much more than a housekeeper.
Keep going.
Don't treat me like a servant.
I was only teasing, honey pie.
The pair share a deep secret. This is not Amy's first rodeo.
The term, he swept her off her feet, was coined when Amy met Ross.
Just 1 year prior, Amy was a doting mother of 4 children, whom she promptly abandoned, along with her husband, to run away with Ross.
She just fell under his spell. It was like she was hypnotized.
Amy pays a high price in shame and secrecy.
Women of polite society simply did not leave their families back then.
Now she is paying the ultimate price for choosing a man over her children.
What is it, my dear?
One of her children dies. She's not even there to take care of her while she was dying or mourn for her.
It is with great sorrow that I write to inform you that our beloved daughter has passed away after a short illness.
I cannot even imagine the guilt that must have caused.
Hey. It's not your fault.
I gave up my children for you.
It's entirely possible that Amy was thinking God took her daughter from her as punishment for what she was doing.
I know.
It's time for Ross to repay his lover. For Amy, only marriage will do.
And we will be married.
Do you mean it?
Ross promises to make it right. Once he establishes his law practice.
I'm afraid I'll end up homeless.
He really got himself together, and he became a well-respected, wealthy lawyer.
That is not gonna happen.
Really?
Judges liked him, the lawyers that he worked with liked him.
Trust me.
And his clients like him too. A long line of vulnerable divorcees.
Ross was very successful as a divorce attorney. He really was quite good. And he would do anything it took to win.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Hey. My 2 favorite gals.
Darling.
Ross may be distracted, but his family isn't.
Winnie and I had a great day.
I can see that.
Just wait until you see Amy's new outfit.
My dear sister, you are a bad influence.
She bonded with them, in particular his sister Winnie,
Well, look at you.
who seemed to like Amy very much.
And what else we got here?
Ross's siblings loved Amy. They wanted him to marry her.
But as the months drag on, there's still no ceremony. In fact, Ross spends more time in his practice than with his would-be wife.
He'd moved up in his life. He had more opportunities as a lawyer than he did before. The relationship gets a bit more volatile, too.
Amy? What happened?
Why are you so late?
I was working late. Are you gonna clean this up?
Are you going to marry me?
Don't start.
I think people in a relationship, oftentimes you're the last to know for sure that it's gone sideways.
Ross seduced Amy away from her family. Now he's doing it again.
To the best outcome you could have hoped for.
To the best lawyer I could have hoped for.
With his clients.
You're a single woman now, and you're no longer my client.
He's meeting divorcees, so eligible women. So he's got a lot more temptation.
But you're married.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Ross was a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
After giving up everything for Ross, Amy will do anything to keep him. She starts keeping tabs on his movements.
It was pretty close to the breaking point for Amy Hill.
What she discovers breaks her heart.
The love of her life, the man she'd given up everything for, out with another woman. Amy's world came to an end.
1911, in Salt Lake City, Amy Hill knows all too well her lover's charm. Ross Bonney swept her away from her family. Now he's doing it to someone else.
He chased her, he lured her, he used her, and then he dumped her.
Amy confides in Ross's sister, Winnie.
His family was pretty supportive of her and liked her, and I think felt really a lot of sympathy for her.
How could he?
Are you sure it wasn't just a meeting?
You don't take clients to a hotel. If he doesn't marry me, I'm ruined.
Marriage would repair both of your reputations.
Amy needed Ross to marry her, to raise her status in the community.
They agree to confront Ross.
They knew Ross's character better than anyone else did and didn't like it very much.
We need to talk.
On November 9th, 1916, they lay down the law.
Ross, you need to marry Amy. It'll give you both a clean slate.
He didn't want to hear one word of it.
Winnie really did try to encourage her brother to take this seriously.
I'm not discussing it.
But Ross, he finally had it up to his eyeballs with the two women.
I have an appointment in Midvale.
I'm gonna leave and go to my mistress now, and you can't stop me.
There were two things Ross did not understand about Amy. Number one was how profound and deep her love and dependence was on him. And number two, that she had a revolver in her muff.
Winnie, Ross's sister, tried to grab the gun out of her hand.
Amy, no! Stop!
But she was determined. This is pretty cold-blooded, really. She stands over him and pumps another round into his face.
I think the first shot was anger and revenge.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Help!
And the second shot was, I want you dead forever.
There will be no marriage, no restored reputation, no bright future.
Not only had she lost her first marriage and her children, now she'd lost the man that she left them for.
I just shot Bonnie.
Give me the gun.
Oh, do call a doctor.
Right here.
Amy doesn't run.
I'm gonna leave that.
She surrenders and is arrested immediately. Her adventure is over.
Amy killed Ross on the exact anniversary date, 5 years of losing her family. That was not an accident. Ross ruined her life, and he had to pay.
Did you love him?
Of course. With all of my heart.
Contemplating the rest of her life in prison, there's only one chance Amy has left.
I'm Ross's sister.
Sympathy.
His own sister, who watched him be murdered, shot in the head, is a witness for the defense.
I'm surprised that you two are still friends.
Amy was pushed too far.
She just seemed like a broken person. And that also played in her favor in the courts.
In 1917, Amy Hill pleads guilty to involuntary manslaughter, but receives only 9 months in prison.
9 months? Is that possible?
Okay, ladies, look this way, please.
For some, even that is too long.
Good, keep looking at the camera.
Amy is released after just 2 months.
So, how does it feel to be free?
I'm so grateful to everyone who supported me.
He didn't have a lot of experience with women.
You're not a little boy anymore.
But that didn't stop her. In short, she was a succubus.
In 2011, volunteering and school drop-offs keep middle-aged mom Kathryn Preston on her toes around Kingsland, Texas.
Thank you.
But the 43-year-old always finds time to look for men.
Joe, you're a godsend.
No problem.
Age is no barrier.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi.
Got my boy working hard?
He's so helpful.
Joe was in the same high school band class as one of Kathy's daughters. There was a 23-year age difference between Kathy and Joe, but that didn't stop her.
You're not a little boy anymore.
Joe reconnected with Kathryn Preston after he had come back home from a brief stint in a vocational school and was living with his mom and dad, looking, I think, for what he was going to do with the rest of his life.
Just here.
Just here.
Thank you. Could you do one more thing for me? For my back?
Yeah, sure.
20-year-old Joe Hernandez is no match for Kathy's womanly ways.
Is that better?
That's good.
I think it just titillated him.
That's great.
And he went along with it.
He was very vulnerable and naive because he didn't have a girlfriend.
I should probably go. My mom's expecting me.
You're not a little boy anymore.
He was interested in girls at school.
You're a man.
But there was never any relationships. So Kathy was his first girlfriend. So she just took advantage.
Overnight, the boy becomes a man.
This is our little secret.
Joe, being almost 20, he wanted to get out of the house. Didn't want to be with his parents that much.
And soon after, the boy becomes a live-in lover.
He just got up and left and decided to just live with her.
He's gone!
My parents didn't approve of it, but they really couldn't do anything about it. It was his choice.
In a whirlwind, Joe's life is turned upside down.
I, Kathryn Louise Preston, take you, Joe, until death do us part.
Before he knows it, he's a married man.
She got him to marry her in a ceremony that just simply was a game. He didn't know that.
They exchanged rings, but Kathy had no pastor present.
Kathy isolated him. Joe's parents were devastated.
How could she? She was my friend.
The fact that it was somebody who had known their family since Joe was a little boy, it was hard for them to cope with it.
Joe's parents know Kathy has a past. Their son is just the latest in a long line of lovers.
Kathy went through men like a 6-year-old goes through an amusement park.
But the revolving door of men isn't just for kicks. It's for income.
Kathy didn't infuse her relationships with love. She just tried to get what she wanted. And she saw that the easiest way she could make money was to have babies.
It's yours.
Kathy used men to get pregnant so that she could get the child support.
But we were only together one night.
That's all it takes. You have to support this child.
Of course.
To ensure multiple streams of income, Kathy diversifies her investments.
In a matter of 11 years, Kathy had 5 children by 4 different men.
Here, Jane I. That's because we're having twins.
Twins?
Kathy Preston did thrive on multiple sources of child support from the different fathers, and that was her main income staple.
In short, she was a succubus. Look it up, people.
But Kathy's investments aren't the only thing maturing. After she hooks Joe, she discovers she's lost her fertility.
Kathy had entered menopause and was no longer able to have children. She also saw that her children were getting older, and pretty soon those child support payments would come to an end.
Joe can't be a father with Kathy. But he can still provide for the family.
She put a weight of guilt on him to be responsible for things that he wasn't responsible for. He was providing for that whole household.
You okay, Joe?
I'm in a bad situation.
Joe does the work, Kathy gets the paychecks.
He got sucked into a black hole.
Not surprisingly, Joe became very disenchanted and started slipping into a depression. But he knew it wasn't going to go over well.
"23-year-old Joe Hernandez reaches out for help in Kingsland, Texas.
I just remember the little conversation that we had. He didn't sound like he was happy.
Hey, sis.
Hey, Joe.
Did you talk to Mom and Dad?
He wanted to come home, but she had too much control over him.
Yeah, I spoke to them.
Are they mad at me?
No, they're not mad. They just want you to come home.
Joe wants to leave his domineering wife, Kathryn Preston, but she calls the shots.
I'm moving out.
No, you're not. You're my husband. You made a commitment.
She'd mentally tortured him for a couple of years and got this narcissist stranglehold on him. He was drained emotionally, he was drained financially.
Well, it's not working out.
This isn't how things usually roll for Kathy. She decides who comes and who goes.
If you have control over somebody, you're gonna react big. So, yeah, she did react really big.
On August 26, 2014, Kathy has a solution.
Kathy decided to express her feelings. With a piece of concrete on his head while he was sleeping.
The rock lacerated and tore his scalp. It crushed the bone in, but to Kathy's surprise, he didn't die. His breathing continued. So she took a pillow from the bed, held it over Joe's face, and pressed on it. It took about 2 to 3 minutes, and Joe's body was lifeless.
At only 23 years of age, Joe's first love affair is also his last.
He thought that he was gonna come home, but he didn't.
Kathy was good at getting pregnant, but she wasn't good at pulling off a murder.
All Kathy succeeded in doing was making a mess, but almost burned her own house down. And it was because she was worried about losing her house that she called the emergency services.
What's your emergency?
I kind of got a controlled burn going on.
Strangest 911 call I've ever heard.
What kind of fire is that, ma'am?
I don't know how to answer that.
She was just dislodged from reality.
Kathy is happy to lose her husband, but not her house.
What's the problem, ma'am?
I'm having a bad week.
But she's sure she still got this.
Kathy's song was that she was a victim of domestic abuse.
My husband has been abusing me.
Well, where is he now?
He's on the bedroom floor.
But there was never any evidence police could find.
He hit his head on a rock.
He wouldn't hurt anybody. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
It wasn't enough that she killed a young man.
What the hell?
Oh my God.
She tried to besmirch his reputation just because he wanted to leave her.
Forensic evidence is unmistakable.
They knew that she had smothered him. The medical examiner ruled the cause of death as suffocation associated with head injuries. He ruled the manner of death as homicide.
In 2016, Kathryn Preston is convicted of murder. Her sentence, 45 years in prison.
This particular crime is a classic example of a stupid narcissist way out of their league. The only thing in the world that's important is what they want.
Kathy saw men not as people, but as assets, to be traded and cashed in whenever she wanted. And when an innocent young man didn't play along,
I'm moving out.
she liquidated him.
She just used him up until there was no other benefit that she could get from him, and then she killed him.
I forgive people, I would say easily, but what she did was wrong. She's a bad person.
These deadly women weren't lovers, they were haters.